Hi, Salman. How you doing?
Good, Michael. How you been?
Good, good, good. How was last
Nice.
week? Or 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I guess it was good 2 weeks ago, and then I had a week off last week too. So
Nice.
yeah, it was sort of nice.
Very
I had
nice.
some things to get done, around the house that just hadn't gotten to yet. Springtime's here, so
Yeah.
you know, you get close to that, they give you this alert like you got 300, hours of PTO. You better start spending some, so because you're at the cap. So
300 hours.
yeah, it's a lot. It's hard to spend that sometimes.
I
So.
will never get that high.
Uh,
I will maybe
I'm
have 2 weeks and then I'm out.
nice. That's good, man. I try to do like two good sized vacations a year, and then a couple times in the year, just stuff, just getting caught
That's
up and
nice.
relaxing. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
yeah. Mm. So yeah, I went looking and I didn't find a recording. It wasn't there. So I don't know if
Shoot. I took
I
some
have to.
notes, but I'm not good at taking like notes.
I,
So,
I'm a stream of consciousness guy, so if I didn't get
right.
into the notes, it's not coming back around until somebody prompts my memory.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
It,
100% on that.
it's good. I think it's gonna be
Yeah.
okay. So we'll just be more diligent today. I did when I came in, it said it's being recorded, so let's make sure it makes it.
Okay.
And maybe that's the trigger.
It was
Maybe it's not
recorded.
mine.
It was recorded the last call too. Um,
So it
so
said it
somewhere it went.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. I didn't set it up. I just show up and it was supposed to work.
Maybe Mike has it. I can reach out to Mike. Did
It
Mike set it
might.
up?
No, Mike. Doesn't Mike? I think it was Rees. Is that their name?
Okay.
Somebody out of South Africa that does a lot of the admin stuff.
Okay.
I think it's Reese. Let's see.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I'll see if I
Good.
can track it down after the call. Awesome. Guys, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Administrative, things.
Yeah.
Our recording from last session didn't make it to YouTube for some reason, so we don't know why.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's a
Okay.
one-off problem, not a O problem. So we'll see. But
Oh,
hopefully, we'll take good notes today and see what we can get.
the recording from last Thursday is also not on yet for the tech meeting. Maybe it's a general issue. I don't know because that
Maybe.
Wow.
normally
Yeah.
should be up. Yeah.
Yeah.
How is
Okay.
everyone? Are you all
Uh,
coming next week?
I
I'm
am.
not. I'm not. I didn't get clearance,
Oh,
unfortunately. So,
Hmm. I'll meet Nelly and Keith and Renee. Have a lunch with
awesome.
them. Be good.
Sounds
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Mm. Did you had a chance to see the MITRE paper
I did
framework?
real quickly before I got on a plane.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but
it's a
yeah, no,
lot.
I did. It's a lot, but it's good. I mean, most of my content is not short, if I recall correctly.
No,
I
MITRE
s-
has
yeah, I
I
used
don't
to.
really
think I
good
had a
detail.
chance to look at it yet.
Okay.
Can
That might
is it
have been.
public or?
No, it's not public. I send it to you.
Shoot.
All
I'm
participants
sorry, I
of this
lost track
group.
of it.
Mm,
No, no worries. I send it to you and app and because
yeah,
it's very relevant for the group. But um, whenever you have a moment, I know it's a huge thing. It's a big one. I
yeah,
think 60 pages or so plus appendix. But yeah, it's quite interesting. And that's how it goes with MITRE, every
uh,
single area. And
yeah.
it should be public on the MITRE website. They do their own, it will have its own website on their page. And that should be up this week for sure. I don't know if today
Yeah.
or on Friday. Administrative process within MITRE. Yeah.
Yeah, the docs you sent, I think you sent, was it four docs? There was like an
Four
A,
docs.
B, and
Yeah,
C.
it's
Um,
it's it's a main framework
mhm,
which describes what they see as a best case if you want to have continuous remote attestation in confidential computing.
mhm,
And then we have three. addendums. One is the threat model that is valid for this one, which has relations to Esteem and Embed from MITRE. Both of them will at some point be extended. This is a public review version, so
Okay. Cool.
this will grow into something even bigger, but this is the first step. And the other addendums are, one is related to compliance, and one is a little bit of a guideline for cloud providers.
Hmm.
Did you just send that in the Slack or via
No, it was an
email?
No,
email. It was an
it
email.
was an email.
Okay, let me go
Yeah,
look for that
I
then.
can, let me
I'll forward it to you.
see.
I'm looking at it right now, so I'll just forward it to you.
I feel sometimes maybe I end up in the JPM spam filter.
Yeah, actually, so that's why I use mg.career@outlook.com.
Oh, can you copy paste
So
that and then I'll
yeah,
send it
yeah,
there?
yeah. Let me put
Yeah,
that. I'll put that in the chat. Yeah.
that's probably it.
People might be wondering why is he saying best email for me, but come to the meetings and you'll find out. That's what.
Did you put it in the chat here, in the Google chat, or?
Oh, sorry. No, I put it in our Slack. Sorry.
Oh, I
Uh,
think I'm not in that Slack channel.
okay.
Ah,
Let me put it here then. Here we go.
Perfect.
hmm,
Copy.
awesome.
All right, sent. Yeah, I was
Okay,
also wondering if you have time next week, Michael, for a little catch up in person, 15 minutes
Yeah.
somewhere. If
Yeah.
so, let me know. Will be good.
Yep.
I
I
will
will
be
reach
there.
out to you on this side, outside of this, and just
Cool.
schedule some time with you. Yep.
Cool. Perfect.
awesome, awesome.
All
Um,
right.
so Michael, since we don't have a recording, and I'm sure notes were hard without it, anything specific from last meeting where I wasn't there, to follow up on
No,
or
y-
record?
yeah, there wasn't really much to follow up on from the last meeting, as I recall. We did talk a little bit about the calf, right? And I think the biggest question mark on that one was the process. Now we're at, I think, a final state, or at least driving towards that final state. And do we take it back to the TAC and the board to have it reviewed and ratified, or what the next steps are? I don't think anybody was quite clear on the call on what
Mm,
those next steps are for publication. And then there was an ask on the readout for the BSI
mhm,
conversation that
mhm.
occurred. I didn't have that one, so I think we were scheduling that for this meeting to get a readout on that, see where that's at. And then we talked a little bit about the LinkedIn post that I shared around looking for a QSAC to help us
Awesome,
author that paper. Yeah,
awesome. That's good. Well, let's tackle the first couple ones. So as far
sure.
as the BSI readout, we've had two meetings with them. First was sort of a get to know you, share the calf and get some initial feedback. And that first session, I think we already sort of stated it was well received. They wanted to come back to us with some questions. So there was a follow-up meeting. It was, I think, the week, a little bit over a week ago, week and a half ago now. And unfortunately, three of their people couldn't make it, so it was fairly short and sweet Q&A session. So I've asked for a follow-on with Wetzel. So Stefan Wetzel is the lead there, who we've been working with. So he's going to come back with a couple dates for some finalized Q&A. But in general, the support is there. They're really from their division, the one that we were working with, are specific around data protection and mechanisms around data protection for certain classifications of data. But they do have a separate group, which I think is called like V23, and these folks are V22. It's a separate group dedicated to hardware security. So that was the other follow up, was they were going to reach out and try to coordinate a contact with us. So it's a moving target, I think. Like, is there a standard here
Hmm.
eventually, or at least a regulatory framework eventually? The answers felt like yes, but it really depends on which group's going to help drive it and who's the customer ultimately, because their customers are German federal customers or regulated customers. So in general, that was well received. It was good, good 2 meetings so far. Probably need a third. But yeah, there's not a lot to work on at the moment, other than they like the calf. They just don't know yet where they put it. So we got to help them with that.
Okay.
Um, there was a second group that I mentioned a couple of meetings ago, SOCOM, so
Hmm.
Special Operations and SEALs and those types of folks. Um, and I know this is going to be recorded and to be generally available information, but we have a contact that is very impressed actually with CACAF, because it gives them a framework to help figure out how do I bring in confidential type components or architectures into a traditionally very IT ruggedized view, as they try to adopt more cloud. So they want to use cloud, then they need to have some components and controls in the hands of the right personnel at the right place in the right time, and figuring that out was really helpful for them, looking at the CACAF again as a sliding scale of where am I on the confidential scale, or the controls to make it confidential. I think, to get
If
back to your
if you
question, go ahead, John. Yes.
if you need help on that meeting, then please feel free, because I also work with NSA Research Directorate, and maybe there are a few
Yeah.
us to connect.
Let's do a second call that's not recorded, so we can like coordinate a little bit on
Yeah.
it, because there's some tangible, like, hey, let's go make a phone call or make a trip
Mhm.
somewhere, and we could sit down with people that are making decisions.
Yeah.
I'd like that best, because that way we can equip them with some kind of path forward.
Exactly. No, absolutely. And for me, it's not far.
Cool. Cool. And then the other one that I think we were circling for other bodies to reach out to and work with, CCNA and NATO were two other ones I think we all wanted to sort of tackle.
Hmm.
I haven't had any progress or time on those, but NATO I think would be one of those other, similar to what we just talked about, helping them sort of frame confidential across the different member states or member nations. Because right now it's national, approval level, with a little bit of support from what they call D32, which is their sort of cloud initiative. So it's not really clear where confidential compute sits within NATO, but it could be it could actually be architected into be something very powerful. I know that they don't have people on the ground that are actively working on it. This from my last 2 years of working with the different groups there. Jens, you might have a different perspective. I think you said you were also working with them, or somebody in your group was. But I
Yeah, it's
haven't.
a,
I haven't seen a standard bearer, I should say there.
yeah. Maybe that's also a topic for a separate conversation.
Cool.
Also
Hey,
recorded.
sorry. Yeah, I don't know if you guys seen. I don't know if he can help or not with NATO, but Manu Fontaine. He's on the CCC from Hushmash, and they just made an announcement about like being selected by NATO. So I don't know, something maybe to consider, to reach out to him. Um, just kind of at least an entry point.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's be nice to know what that means. I mean, I've seen some recent activity in NATO, mainly around like key managers and HSMs and things.
Yeah, it's more about the contact. So I don't know about the like the most recent announcements, but
Okay. Cool. See here. As far as agenda, let me bring it up. I am a little behind. We had some administrative problems with recordings, and I'm still playing catch up from a week off.
Yeah, and let me ask Abe real quick because I know Abe, unfortunately the recording didn't post to YouTube, and I'm poor at note taking during meetings. I covered that we talked about the CAF and pushing it through to ratification,
yeah.
what that process
Mhm.
looked like. We covered a little bit about what the BSI, what the status of the BSI meeting was, and a follow up for that. And then I think we talked a little bit about regulatory body reach out where, I shared that I posted that LinkedIn
Mhm.
comment seeking engagement. Was there anything else in the meeting 2 weeks ago that you might recall?
No, the main one I think was really the the process for ratification. I
Okay.
think that's I apologize. I joined when Solomon was talking about BSI, so I missed at the beginning. I really
Yeah.
apologize.
Nah,
I was running late, so I assume it was clarified with Mike Purcell for the process, or
I think that's what we need to do. I'm coming
oh,
from
okay, yeah,
some time off, so
okay, all
I'm
right.
literally, this is my first day back, so you're my first meeting, so I'm totally
No worries.
blank for
So
quite a few days.
okay, so yeah, so well, I guess Michael, you mentioned what I asked for, or like, do you want me to say it again, or?
I just, yeah, sure. Feel free. As I say,
No, no,
I
no, no,
know that
no.
that was
It's
a
not. I don't
topic,
want to
but
repeat. No, no. It was definitely top. Okay, so
yeah.
so I
Yeah.
think what 2 weeks ago, uh, we said, okay, we need to make progress, okay, CACAF or whatever the framework document to get ratified. And basically, what I was basically saying is that it's not clear to me what is the process, for a formal process to do it. What I mean, typically you will be a vote, but then who votes on it? Like basically, does it go to the TAC and then that technically this is governing board, an our SIG document. So um can TAC veto it? I don't know. Like I'm just what are the kind of the and the key here, I think the main person who can help us is Mike Purcell, who can tell us like, you know, what's the process, what's the best way to approach it? Because we need to formally and give a formal opportunity to everyone to say, hey, you have until this date, review it, vote, yeah, nay, questions, maybe, whatever. Like just kind of like going from, I know you guys presented it, like I know that's like I think whoever's interested is in, but human nature being what it is, and I include myself in this statement, until they see, oh, there's a vote. Sometimes some people might not necessarily react to it, right? Like that's what I'm saying. Like, and the other thing is like, from experience in any industry body, including CCC, like not open-ended date. Like, I don't know, like open for 2 weeks for vote, and then like whatever is like Friday, 3 p.m. I don't know. Pacific on the day, like just kind of basically getting the process. What is the process? Who has the right to vote? Is it and when I say who has the right to vote, as in committees, like is it like does the TAC needs to sign off on it, like and then we vote here, or I don't know if we need to, or it just goes to the governing board. I don't know. Like that's the part that's not clear. And obviously for each of these committees, typically it's the premier members who can vote, from what I recall, but I'm not sure on this. I think it's some on some topics, yes, but I think general members can also vote, like, but depends on the topic. I don't remember what the rule is, but I think that's what Mike can, so which organizations can vote as well. So committees and organizations. So the overall process, and once we get the process, then we can put the dates on them, I guess, and then uh, and we get closure, right? So that's so we can report back to the governing board to say, hey, here's a process, it's going to be a vote, blah blah blah, etc. And by this date, we will have this ratified. So yeah, that was the ask.
Little side note, the last meeting was just uploaded to the YouTube channel.
Okay.
Oh,
Huh.
that's
Okay.
crazy. I just checked this morning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
5
looked
minutes
last
ago.
night at midnight.
Yeah.
Wow.
Someone
Okay.
is
Oh,
uploading lots of videos right now. Also the workload identity one, the kernel SIG, and this one.
oh, yeah, there
5
it
minutes
is.
ago. Yeah.
All
Maybe
right.
somebody else
Nice.
was on vacation the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Could
looks
be.
like. It looks like.
They should put an AI agent to do it. Sorry.
Oh,
Totally. I was like, at least a script, something like a
I'm
batch
joking.
script.
I'm just like, nowadays you always have to put
oh my
AIs
gosh.
in
Hmm.
a
Yes.
statement. Like, so it's like script. No, 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 no. It's not a script. That's a
It's not a script.
that's
It's an AI.
it's a basic agent. So
Right. Oh, all the
Yeah.
uh,
presentations entirely been around AI agents and AI agentic systems, and yeah,
no, it is a reality, but at the same time, I
I think a
I've
little bit
seen.
it's overblown a little bit.
Oh my
Like,
God. There are cases where, but not on the CCC, like just in the, whether it's in the press or
yes.
some companies,
Oh
it
yeah.
was like, yeah, we've been doing script, like this is like or like this is heuristics like that's been done for like decades to detect
Yes.
anomaly or something like that. Like,
Mm.
yeah, it's not really I mean, it's not AI as we know it today. I guess that's
Right.
maybe, but like it was just like, but they call it everything. Plug AI on everything. So anyway,
I mean, sometimes I look at it, I saw one, I was like, so it's a batch job. Like, no, it's an agent. I'm like,
I
it's a
know
batch job.
it's a script. It's just
Right.
like, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, uh,
Yeah.
Fun, fun. All
uh,
right, so I'll reach
okay.
out to Mike, see if I can get some clarity on the process. I
Mhm.
think these are the questions that we're hoping to get answered. What's the process? Who's reviewing? Who's voting? How much time? And when should we actually do the vote? Um, I think it looks like it's in good shape. If anybody hasn't looked at it recently, maybe another one time through the CACAF to make sure it's on point to what we think it needs to be. For me, I just looked at it a little over a week ago, and I felt like we've made some pretty good. It's a great starting point. And I'm curious to see what TAC and others might want to add into it, as long as we're staying aligned with this is regulatory and standard sort of approach, not just a technical approach. These are all
Yeah, I
have to
think
work
so.
together.
So yeah, so Solomon, I'll mention what I mentioned 2 weeks ago, and
Mhm.
I'll save you some time from watching the video. But go ahead. Anyway, it was not as long call anyway. But I think the feedback, I not personally, but and I get the point, and I think, and I owe everyone like to get that in writing in the document, or at least by email or something somehow.
Mhm.
Um, I circulated the like dot internally the framework to a couple of architects, not the broadly for the AMD. But I think one feedback that caught my attention, and I need that to speak to that architect, like sit down with him and have a conversation to get more like specifics on
Mhm.
I think what his concern is the first two levels is more about diluting the. I think I mentioned that to Michael last time. How I think I did. Um, about diluting kind of the definition of confidential computing. Um, you know, uh, with the first two levels or the first level. But that's kind of I need to kind of like sit down with him, put things in writing. But that's one of the concern
Mhm.
that he had. Basically, uh, a like if it's not like it, are we saying like basically what kind of like he was saying, it's like, are we saying that it's only level 3 and above that's confidential computing, and below that is just some level of assurance, etc., and something like that? That was kind of his concern. And
Yeah.
um, if we need to be explicit about it, he likes the framework as a whole, as a concept.
Sure.
It's just a concern for this. I remember it, like the first two levels for him are not
Mhm.
really confidential computing as we have been defining it for years now.
Sure.
I don't know, like at least
Sure.
for official in the CCC,
Yep.
as in like
That's right. I remember that conversation now.
yeah.
Yeah, and we talked a bit about how the different so the different levels were meant to represent the components of confidential computing, like as we broke them out, because we thought maybe when by we I mean with the CAF we
Yeah.
thought there
Mhm.
was value to each of the components standing outside of confidential computing, but I think at least in my mind you don't actually get confidential computing until you get to that final level of full
Mm.
implementation. Everything else is just a component of it that adds this value, but they all must be present, kind of like Voltron. They all must be present to actually make the robot. At
Yeah,
least that was my
that
thought.
kind
Yeah.
of, yeah.
Yep.
No, no,
Yeah.
that's definitely so. That's kind of the, yeah. So that's basically how it's a. I think you put it in an even better way to explain it. I'm guessing that's what the my colleague meant, but I'll double check with him, and I couldn't get hold of him last week.
I do
Um,
think he has a good point though that
yeah.
probably does warrant a bit more a bit more clarity when I went back
Mhm,
and read it in the CAF
mhm.
in that say to make it explicit that these different tiers or levels that we have doesn't get you confidence computing until you've assembled them all together in this fashion. It's just this is what you get for this particular, or from
Right.
an assessor's perspective, this is what kind of assurance you get for at this level and what you should be
Right.
looking for.
Yeah, because if I recall it correctly, we have the components, we
Hmm.
we have the objective, and then we have the level.
Mhm.
And so the level, those ones, it's really I think there's 5 levels, 0 through
Yeah,
4.
there's 5 levels. Yes, it's
Yeah,
five.
so he's referring to the
The
levels, not the
levels
components. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
it.
Because
And overall, the framework is like actually likes it. As I said, his concern is like, as I said, it's just really, um, it's yeah, diluting or could create or potentially. I'm not saying we will potentially creating confusion that oh, if you're level one, I have components from level one, so I have confidential computing, right? That's like
Yep.
sure.
that's kind of like the point that he was at the high
Okay.
level. But again, I need to
Mhm.
put it in writing and share it with you guys.
That's a good point. I think I think it's a valid point. I think it's being clear where the line is. Uh, it is that progressively getting up to 4. That's we probably need to say what is confidential computing, as a standard or as the thing that this body, the CCC, wants to promote as the objective level that you want to be at. And that maybe be where it's only 3 and 4 or just 4 is confidential. The other ones are just progressively approaching confidential.
Yeah.
Because the first one is no confidentiality. It
Yeah.
explicitly, that's what
No.
it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then the
Yeah.
second one up is it's a vendor specific or vendor bound TEE, which doesn't mean confidentiality yet
Yeah, but that's the thing.
necessarily.
So, I mean, without giving a specific vendor's name, but
Hmm.
yeah, I'm think we can guess some can, you know,
Sure,
guess who that is. And it's not against any vendor specifically, but
sure,
a cloud vendor that includes the hypervisor and TCP. I mean, that's not to me confidential computing, to be blunt.
sure.
That's at least AMD's
Hmm.
position, just to be
Sure,
clear. But again, I'm not
sure.
saying for you guys to agree or disagree. And that's really, I would say that would be if that becomes
Mhm.
like, like opens up that door to that, I think that becomes it's almost like a free for all. And frankly, whatever we've been, you know, and honestly, I can speak from experience when I'm talking to customers, when I'm talking like when I've been in out with our CTOs meetings with other CTOs, CISOs, they were
Mhm.
like, "Oh, we like that. Actually, we didn't know about this technology of computational computing." So, I mean, like, and this like,
Mhm.
"Oh,
Mhm.
this is
Mhm.
great. Like, oh, I can really put my stuff on cloud without the hypervisors." Like, yeah, that's like
Mhm.
that part is like
Yeah.
really critical,
Our
right?
Yeah.
CISO is all about it.
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah,
Getting
well,
these
there you
SaaS
go.
vendors to go along with it has been my life's mission of running my head
Yeah,
into a wall. So,
yeah. So I think that's the part that's concerning a little bit. Not concerning, but where that my colleague has
Yeah.
expressed
Sure,
concerns
sure, sure,
about,
sure, sure.
like, basically people might think, and here's the thing, don't underestimate the ability of people of not diving into a document and just seeing like, oh, it's a CCC document, so that these are the
Mhm.
levels of CC, and they would not necessarily like. I get it, it's written there, but like, it just, and this is wearing my product management hat, which is my job at AMD anyway, but like, it's messaging and positioning can be tricky, and people sometimes do mental shortcuts. That's the only thing. Again, not questioning the framework as a whole, but just the
Sure, sure.
levels and how we position them, and
Mhm.
maybe I'll look again into the language, and maybe that's just a matter of wordsmithing the name, the titles of
Mhm.
the levels. That will just solve it, right? I don't know. I'm not saying that's what we should do, or whether we will, or what I will recommend necessarily, but like, even like having a prefix like CC, for level 3 and above, or something like that, or 4, whatever. Like, it's
Mhm.
you know, just as like, hey, something like that. But the
Well,
levels was kind of the concern about diluting the definition of CC that
mhm.
we've been pushing for years
Sure.
altogether.
I mean, there's a parallel here, right? So, particularly around HSMs and key management systems and crypto systems, you have FIPS level
Hmm.
3, level 4, and like
Yeah.
level 2 and below are not going to be appropriate for certain use cases, finance, national security, whatever. So it's almost like there's an opportunity. Again, language matters, but there's an opportunity to say like these levels, are what we have as the target certification or whatever we want to get out in there, and only 3 and 4 really are confidential, or only
Hmm.
4 is, like that's going to be used in the super secret squirrel world, whereas 3 might be okay for, doing some office, facing stuff for banking or what have you. So it's
Hmm.
understanding like that line is really helpful, but that it has a parallel to certifications where it's like, okay, buyers make decisions based upon checkboxes, unfortunately. So we say, hey, you got to have a
Totally.
level 3.
And that's actually the positive about this, and that's why I love it. By the way,
Yeah.
I would argue my dream, and I'm not saying it's the CAF necessarily its level, but I would love to have a certification like of CC.
Mhm. Yeah.
But
Right.
as similar to the FIPS, it's like, hey, there you go. It's kind of like a table like that would just make it easier for customers to make a decision. It's like, okay, if you're not CC level 3, I don't know, I'm just coming
Mhm.
up with like, for a given sector, or get like,
Mhm.
that's the table stake, right?
Yep.
Like, and that means XYZ, and it's all the more. Actually, I had a whole kind of presentation to my executive leadership about
Mhm.
how, at least out from our sides and working with the CCC, reducing the friction of a couple of things: the market and the end customers understanding what CC is, which it made huge progress, obviously, over the years. But we're still not there, because I'll be surprised how many. I mean, I'm sure you do with
Sure.
your own customers, and Michael and Jans as well, with your own partners, etc., or internally. Like, what is it? Like, okay, confidentiality, what does that mean? Like, is it privacy? Is it like, and then it's always like, explain what it is. So that there's that. There's the element of, you know, how to reduce friction of selection, right? Like, basically, and everybody, like, assurance, and that's why, obviously, why it's assurance framework. It's like, oh, okay, peace of mind, because it's reducing the anxiety of the decision making and that's will again, I'm not saying just AMD, but just CC as a technology to be adopted in the broader ecosystem. As I said, my dream would, the same we are today, cannot consider any storage not being encrypted as like a given. Maybe it
Right.
wasn't 20 years ago. Hopefully we'll get to that point where like all computing will be confidential. That's like the default at one point, and I don't know when, but maybe that's delusional, but that's what I hope we get to.
Mm. Awesome.
But again, the action for me is really to, like, internally, to um, I'm sorry, to talk to my colleague and put things in writing and get back. That was 2 weeks ago. I apologize. I didn't. I myself also had to prepare for the conference next week. So I'll be there next week. All of you guys will be there as well. Michael, I know you
I,
know you will.
I won't be.
You won't be Sana? Okay.
No, I
Uh,
didn't get the clearance.
Jens, you'll be there? Okay, perfect. Well, good to
Yes,
see you.
yes,
Oh,
I'm
I see
there.
that Rithika has joined. Hello?
Hi, sorry, I've been lurking here for a
Yeah.
little bit. I hopped in late and didn't want to interrupt.
No, it's no,
No
no.
Um,
worries.
yeah, good to see
I,
everyone.
I
Solomon,
yeah.
hi. I think the
Hi.
last time I joined was like 2 months ago. I have a reoccurring meeting that happens the same time, so I don't always
Uh,
get to make it.
no worries.
Um,
No worries.
yeah, I'm assuming we're talking about adoption use case woes. I think everyone has a story there.
Yeah, a
I
little
think
bit
for
like
us, our customers, they don't even know what they want, so it's always like a longer process of figuring out how CC actually fits into things. And I think generally just in the cybersecurity space until something like very bad happens. It's like a very it's not a ex ante space to be working in, let's say.
yeah, I think when we were just talking about the parallels between like, encryption systems and confidential compute, when I say encryption, I mean data at rest, data in motion, that type of stuff. There's not a checkbox or a standard, bill of materials to build with that's being driven and compulsorily, being mandated by regulations or individual
Mm.
markets or what have you. But I'm with you. Sometimes it's usually something really bad happens or something really cool happens, and every once in a while somebody comes up with like the killer use case that like I got to have that, it saves me money, or lets me go do cloud, unless we do these things. But it's still education is the thing. It's always either side. It's still education. That's the biggest gap.
Right.
Yeah, I think honestly, and again, this is from my firsthand experience trying to convince some of these SaaS vendors that we work with, and you would think it would be an easy conversation given, who's asking them, but it still has been a very friction-filled conversation with them around even getting into proof of concepts for confidential computing and various ways of obscuring them and their operations from our data. They throw up whatever roadblock they throw up. I provide them an architectural horsepower behind it, how it could work. And, then they try to say, well, what if we did this, that, and the third? And it's always, what if we gave you one more assurance document from an assessor that should make you feel good about it, or tell you one more time that only 6 people can access this. And it's
Mhm.
always brings down those conversations, and I'm always surprised by it, almost to the point of where I want to put on my tinfoil hat and say, I don't think you want to do this because I think you are actually accessing our data. I think you are actually reading it, right? And so, yeah, it's surprising to me how much convincing I have to do. I have 2 POCs going on right now with some prominent names in the data visualization and data analytics field that hopefully will announce something here in the next 60 days. But the amount of conversation effort I have to put forward to convince these companies to just, give it a shot is still, it shocks me every time.
Is it
Mm,
I'm sorry, Michael, just and I'm trying to get
Hmm.
to make it actionable from a CCC perspective.
Yeah.
Is it them not understanding what it is, or is it them worrying that it's too complex to implement, or maybe something else? I'm just curious to see how we can help, you know, is it an
Certainly.
understanding, like an educational element, or is it more of like, oh no, it's too complex, we don't have the resources to do it. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
just
I'll put
imagine.
it in phases, right? Because I think it goes through various phases. It's at first they don't quite understand um something about signing in. I was on the screen, but that's not me. All right. It's that they don't understand at first. So I give them a brief overview, and then they eventually have somebody in their space that kind of understands it. So they start joining the meetings, and then we love us up there. And then they talk about, how hard it is to implement. And some of it I agree with because, just being honest, a lot of the workloads still run on AWS. and the AWS solution, which I think we all talked about earlier as a nod to, isn't really confidential computing, but what they've implemented it as has some severe limitations given the no direct attached storage and all that. So it is there are some architectural hoops to jump through, but then it just becomes who's prioritizing this type conversation. And even when I break through that final barrier where I bring in, what I would consider some heavy hitters like our CISO and our CTO and to the say and the actual CIOs from various lines of business say, yeah, this would be really cool if we could have this. They still go, well, okay, we'll think about it. And I'm like, just I had one
Okay.
conversation with the data vendor, big one. And finally I just replied back to him, listen, just tell me you don't want to do it. Like, can we just stop with the back and forth
Yeah.
email? Just tell me you don't
Okay.
want to do it so I can stop reporting it out. So to your question, the consortium, this is why I think the regulatory aspect of this will be far more impactful than any
Agreed.
other effort because once regulators start demanding it, whether it's FedRAMP via NIST or whether it's PCI via their data security standard, once they start requiring it, then the SaaS vendors are going to find themselves on the wrong side of those conversations because companies will
Agree.
just stop using them. They won't be able to. So,
Okay.
anyways,
No, I totally agree. I think that's why this obviously the moment this SIG was created, I jumped on it because
yeah,
I faced similar, you know,
it sucks
sometimes
that it has to be
conversations.
that way, but
I agree.
yeah,
Listen. As I said, the first time I personally started like working on confidential computing was 6 years ago. The first
mhm.
day I was just like, oh my God, this is exciting. Like literally just purely
Yeah, me too.
from a geeky kind of like engineer view. Like this is like this is amazing. Like I'll say I was like, and that's to me that was like again, that's personal, but then from a purely like then from a business perspective, it's like, yeah, okay, that enables like the customer to be,
Mhm.
get an assurance, you know, cloud vendors obviously, making business, us hardware vendors making business. Like everybody, it's a win-win-win, right? It's like there's
Yeah,
no like what's there to overthink it. Again, aside from that's why I said if it's a real technical like either lack of understanding, lack of technical knowledge or something like that, and I think that's something we maybe even CCC and all the companies we can help with maybe some contributing with some I don't know like some source code of like sample apps or sample code or whatever, right? Like if that's really the obstacle, if that's the friction point, if it's
right.
something more than that, just like they don't want to do it, well, because just it's more effort for me. I don't care about it. To your point,
Yeah.
that's what the red our hopefully will our sake will make you know strides with the regulators, and then it becomes then to your point, they'll be on the wrong side of it. So not our goal. We want them to actually join it, like
Yeah.
willingly and happily, but you know,
And you know what I
we'll,
think one of the other blockers, not blockers, but one of the other um things, humans act off of incentives, right?
mm,
And so in my mind, when I first started looking this about 3, 4 years ago is when I started really diving into CC and opportunities there. That the the I was thinking how this could be used by some of these vendors to drive business their way by just saying, "Hey, we have this offering, and if you want to really raise the bar and cut costs and whatever, come use this because your audit and assessments will go down, blah blah blah, and we can give you assurances beyond anything else." I thought that would really be a reason for them to jump in and
mm.
drive business, and my perspective on it
Never.
has
And
flipped.
I mean,
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I was gonna say my perspective flipped on that to say no, they just haven't figured out a way to monetize it yet. How can we charge you more for using confidential computing in
Yeah.
this space? And as soon as they can figure that out, because with AWS, it doesn't cost you any more, quote unquote, to run on their Nitro Enclave. Same thing with GCP, app not secure app. It doesn't cost you any more. And confidential VM on Azure, same cost, but all of these things are the same cost. So the various SaaS vendors and other they haven't figured out a way to monetize it yet that makes sense for them. So that's really why they haven't. I think that, and plus again the fact that I'm starting to believe that they actually are sniffing the data are the two reasons why they
Who
don't want to do
knows?
it.
Yeah. Hopefully not, but who
Yeah.
knows? Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
Does anyone know where we're at with the NIST engagement? I think his name was Mike Bartok, was sitting in on a few, I think TAC calls maybe earlier in the year. But I don't know if we heard back or not.
It's an incredibly slow process,
Mm,
unfortunately. So it's ongoing, but no, that there has been a long time on the answers. So it was a bit back and forth, but it's not really fast moving.
right, fair
Alec
enough.
Fernandez from Microsoft is a good person to ask.
Who from Microsoft?
Alec
Alec
Fernandez.
Fernandez.
For now, okay. I'll take a look over Slack maybe. What one thing I did remember from the call though, it seems like CCC really uh pushes for output and including the NIST engagement. I remember our mic and then NIST mic kind of going back and forth on this during the call on either like individual CCC members contributing to the paper he wanted us to help out with versus CCC as a whole doing it. Um, I've noticed CCC leans more towards the whole org side of things, whereas we're working with COSI, like just other consortiums, so COSI, TCG, OpenSSF, and they're a lot more member contribution focused rather than org as a whole. Sometimes I do wonder if that holds us back a bit, or maybe I haven't been sitting in enough working group calls to fully know our side of the story here. Um, but
I
yeah,
mean,
like what's the sorry.
no. I was about to ask, like, so I can tell you just from my experience now, this is my third year in CCC. There's no formal like direction to, for obvious reasons, the CCC cannot prevent members, individual members, companies from contributing to whatever, you know, public consultation document, and we do. Um, I think the way at least I can speak about one instance where we said, okay, we're gonna I think it was the ANSI one where member companies will obviously like obviously they have their freedom to reach out to ANSI in France and but also the CCC the board the governing board decided that it warranted um, a CCC kind of coordinated answer just to reinforce. I don't think it
Okay,
was one or the like one or the other. It's not a mutually exclusive, at least from my experience, for
gotcha.
obvious. So, um, yeah.
Okay. And what are our policies for things like reference implementations for like guidances we put out, that kind of thing? I know some consortias try to keep it very vendor neutral, and others are okay with having like specific vendor examples just to kind of like ground a lot of the use cases and what things look like in practice. Does it vary by working group, or is there
Well,
a consortia-wide
technically,
policy?
we are in the Linux Foundation, right? So
Yeah.
we're governed by basically by the Linux Foundation's basically guidelines and actually rules, I should say, not just guidelines.
Okay.
So I think it depends if it like if it's an open there's a open project and it's driven by CCC. Uh, yeah, that's basically falls under. I shouldn't generalize, but definitely it falls under the Linux Foundation. Now, which license? Let's say if it's open, it is open source. Which license is applied to it? I guess maybe looking project by project. I don't know if it's like the same for all projects, um, but yeah, I think the vendor element. I don't think there's really if the project is open, it's open, right? I don't think there's anything I haven't seen so far, anything that, was vendor specific. Unless the vendor donates that to the open project.
Right. Yeah, for stewardship. Got it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But again, I think the best way, honestly, take that with a grain of salt. Reach out to Mike Purcell. He's the reference, right? So
Okay.
he's the
No, I
executive
mean
director.
I
So
have nothing
just
personally on our end to be
yeah.
contributing at this point other than, helping
No,
out
no,
with
but maybe using,
this.
right? And that's not necessarily always like also you leveraging what exists, right? So
Yeah.
which that's the whole purpose of the CCC is to spread adoption of CC. So
Right. Yeah, I'm just on that point. I'm wondering if it would be easier slash faster if individual member companies had more leeway in kind of promoting their own use cases under the CCC umbrella.
we do that on the outreach committee with you guys.
Okay, see
So
that's one I'm not on.
yeah, so the outreach committee is really about promoting confidential computing at law, but also like without, I mean, we promote the technology that a vendor, um, uh, you know, develops. We're not there to sell the solution, right? Obviously,
Right.
we need
Just
to
to
be,
socialize.
yeah, socialize the technology is like, hey, look what this vendor was able to do. Like they were able to protect this thanks to confidential computing. The key is always confidential computing, not the solution, right? It's not again, I think because of Linux Foundation and also as a standard, well, not standard body, but as an ecosystem, I would say industry body, we we have to be neutral, like vendor neutral, but that doesn't mean that we are use case neutral, if that makes sense. This is terminology
Yeah.
that I came up with. So Laura Martinez is the chair of the outreach committee. I also sit on the outreach committee. If you go to the CCC website, you can actually just like you can join and register for the meetings. It's monthly. We used to be bi-weekly, but we didn't have enough activity to so also like everybody's kind of like sitting on multiple committees, so
Yeah,
we
there's
switched to
enough of these calls.
exactly. So we switched to monthly literally like maybe 2 months ago, like at the beginning of 2026. Laura Martinez is the chair, Rachel Wang is the co-chair. I personally sit on that one and this one. Well, this is a SIG. The other one is the committee. Just FYI, CCC has only two committees, TAC and Outreach Committee. The rest is special interest groups, right? And this SIG specifically is under the governing board. The other SIGs are under the TAC committee, Technical Advisory Committee. Just
Gotcha.
FYI.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad
Awesome.
I'm helping with the administrative questions. That was
Please do.
administrative.
Please do.
Sorry if I'm taking over the call with this.
Somebody's got
No,
to.
no, no, no. Hey,
We're here.
and
We're here.
yeah, we're here to help.
Yeah. I think we got 6 minutes left. In particular, man, I captured a couple things that we want to follow up on. I owe a good read of the MITRE doc still. It's not small, but I think it could be helpful. I think it's
Sorry.
also no, it's okay. I think it's also important to get that clarity from your colleague regarding
Yes, absolutely.
where the line is and how do we want to look at that. I think between now and our next call, it, I'll make sure that we find out from Mike what's our process for putting the CACAF forward. And I think as part of that process in that review, we should bring up that part. I mean, I think it's something where the technical expertise is going to be just as helpful as the regulatory frameworks that we want to work with. So
sure.
So yeah, I think that's good. And then I don't have any other administrative things at the moment. Michael, anything from last week that we should bring
No,
forward still?
I don't recall anything. Nope.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. I'll go ahead and get the administrative stuff up. Hopefully the recording works promptly this time instead of waiting 2 weeks. So that's
No
good.
worries. And I'll put meeting minutes together for both calls.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep.
And then we'll vote on the minutes next time since we didn't have them today. Awesome. Anything else?
Okay. Nope. Not on my side.
Cool. Sounds great. Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all.
Bye.